Last week, 40 agents of the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation stormed and searched the elegant mansion of former U.S. President Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago, Florida. At the time of writing this article, the result of the inspection was not known, and what were its reasons for the origin, but the comments about it indicated reasons related to the transfer of documents that are not authorized to be carried outside the White House, and the search for evidence related to what the President of the United States did during the bloody events of January 6, 2020, which was the reason for storming the Capitol building and preventing him from ratifying the results of the American presidential elections, which are necessary for President Biden to take office. Whatever the reasons, the president himself was summoned for investigation. Both events are unprecedented in American history. For a president to be placed out of power under the umbrella of inspection and investigation, it is worth noting that the White House stated that it had nothing to do with the two events. But the two incidents were preceded by another unprecedented fact, which is the U.S. Supreme Constitutional Court's reversal of the law it had issued regarding the issue of abortion and its permission in the U.S. states. This allows the repeal of other federal laws, some of which are related to elections in states and how to ensure their credibility. More than that, it opens the door to manipulating the composition of the court itself, as the U.S. Constitution does not specify a number of court judges, but historical experiences have led to the number 9, which has become stable. What actually happened is that President Trump described the inspection and investigation events as politicized, meaning that they were based not on the law, but on the political interests of the Democratic Party, which is trying to create pretexts that allow it to win one of the two houses of Congress in the midterm elections next November. The president's statements mobilized his supporters in the various states to add to the previous doctrine of denial of the results of the previous U.S. presidential elections and the assertion that they were rigged despite the complete failure to obtain a single court ruling supporting this statement by the different states. The result of all this is more division between the two major parties, the Republican and the Democratic, especially since the first party primaries for candidates for the midterm round led to the victory of a large percentage of Trump supporters, or those whom Trump supported, with crowd and perhaps funding in the elections. Within the Republican Party itself, signs of a new split began between a majority requesting Trump's affection, and a new minority rallying around Liz Cheney, the daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney, who led the minority of party members who voted to convict Trump in the House of Representatives during the last days of his term. This minority did not succeed in running in the primaries, and some of them announced that they would not run in the elections at all, for fear of the heavy influence of the former U.S. president. The American division is not new to the United States, as it suffered from forms of strife in the early days of the Republic and the Civil War after 60 years of independence. What is new is that the current division is based on questioning the American institutions themselves and their electoral and constitutional legitimacy. The truth is that during his 4 years in office, President Trump did not leave an opportunity in which he did not take advantage of American institutions, from Congress to the CIA to the Department of Justice and others. From his point of view, these institutions are infiltrated by Democrats and liberals who are weak in loyalty to the American state and fascinated by global principles that no country in the world respects except the United States. Recently, a number of American generals testified that Trump was asking them for loyalty to him personally, just as German generals did with the Hitler-Nazi leadership. The division places a heavy gap between the red Republican and blue Democratic states of America, at a time when the states are under the difficult circumstances of the Ukrainian war and its economic, social and political pressures on the American interior. In the opposite direction to this division, the Democratic and Republican parties succeeded in passing a new law through both houses of Congress. It contributes to positively dealing with the acute issue of global warming and reducing the impact of U.S. carbon emissions during the current decade, while adopting tax policies that lead to the recovery of the economy. This kind of consensus is new to the American arena in recent years, but its continuation with the presence of competition in the upcoming elections and the Republican Party's attempt to seize the majority in both houses of Congress puts Democrats in a frightening crisis, which is that the Democratic president will be under the Republican guillotine for the laws and decisions he takes. Would the search of the former president's house, and his placement under investigation, be a sign that the American institutions had finally decided to get rid of the danger of precedents surrounding the American president after his departure from power and put him in a circle of respect and prestige? Simply, is what happened a kind of corrective process that democracies undertake to reform and restore themselves? Or is the United States on the cusp of a new era that will lead to the election of Trump in the same 2024 again for a second term?